Stop right there and do not spend that old 5-cent coin until you know exactly what you're holding. Because some Monticello nickels can hide details that most people completely overlook. And one tiny difference can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a serious collector treasure. Welcome back to Hidden Coin Millions, your channel for freshly updated rare coin discoveries every single day. Today, we're opening the door to 4 Monticello 5-cent coins that deserve a much closer look. And believe me, the coin we're starting with has a story that makes it impossible to ignore. So check your old coins, check your collection, and stay with me until the end, because the biggest surprise is still waiting. Coin number 1. We are looking at the 2004 with P. Lewis and Clark Expedition bicentennial nickel featuring the keelboat design, struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The date is 2004 and the mint mark is P. If you have one of these in your collection, don't just glance at it and put it away. Slow down, bring the coin under good lighting, and take a serious look at the surfaces, details, color, and overall condition. This nickel belongs to one of the most recognizable design changes in the Jefferson 5-cent series. In 2004, the United States Mint introduced special reverse designs commemorating the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark Expedition. The first design showed the famous keelboat, representing the historic expedition and its journey through the American frontier. That makes this coin much more than a simple 5-cent piece. It is a small piece of American history captured in metal. And there is something exciting about the story behind this coin. The Lewis and Clark Expedition was one of the defining exploration journeys in early American history. The commemorative nickel brought that story directly into everyday American pocket change. Suddenly, an ordinary 5-cent coin could carry a completely different appearance from the classic Jefferson nickel people had known for decades. The P mint mark is another important detail to check. That small letter beneath the date tells collectors that this particular example was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. For collectors, identifying the date and mint mark is one of the first steps in determining exactly which version they have. Never underestimate that tiny letter. On collectible coins, small details can make a major difference in identification and demand. Now look closely at the coin you're examining. The example we are discussing has brown dots and a beautiful overall appearance in very fine condition. Those surface characteristics are part of what makes the individual coin interesting for this video. A circulated coin can show signs of handling, contact, and age, but collectors still pay close attention to how clearly the major design elements remain visible. Turn the coin over and focus on that spectacular keelboat reverse. The design gives this nickel an identity that immediately separates it from the ordinary Jefferson nickels surrounding it. The vessel, lettering, and surrounding details create a miniature historical scene right on the reverse of the coin. This is exactly the kind of design that makes collectors stop, look again, and ask themselves whether they have something worth preserving. And here is where the excitement really begins. The composition of a standard U.S. nickel is primarily 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its familiar appearance and substantial feel. But remember, collectors are not simply looking at the metal value. The real interest comes from the date, design, mint mark, condition, strike quality, surface preservation, and whether the coin possesses a recognized variety or error. That is why two coins that look similar at first glance can have dramatically different collector interest. For this particular example, the brown spotting becomes something you should examine carefully rather than simply assuming it increases value. Collectors distinguish between natural toning, environmental discoloration, staining, damage, and genuine mint-related characteristics. The better you understand what you are looking at, the less likely you are to overlook something important or mistake ordinary damage for a valuable error. Condition is another major part of the story. A very fine example has experienced circulation, but the important design details can still remain recognizable. Collectors want coins that retain strong lettering, recognizable design elements, and appealing surfaces. The overall eye appeal can also influence how attractive an individual example becomes to a collector. And remember this, rarity does not automatically mean that every example of a commemorative nickel is worth a fortune. What makes a coin truly desirable can depend on a combination of scarcity, recognized varieties, condition, demand, and verified sales. So if your coin looks unusual, don't rush to clean it. Cleaning can permanently damage a collectible coin and potentially destroy the very surface collectors want to see. Now comes the number you've been waiting for. For the 2004 WTP Lewis and Clark Expedition Bicentennial Keelboat Nickel in the very fine condition and surface appearance you described, the valuation figure being used in this video is $5,500. That is a $5,500 valuation figure provided for this specific example, but it should not be treated as a guaranteed sale price. Actual current market prices can vary significantly based on professional grading, authentication, exact variety, eye appeal, and recent comparable sales. So before anyone treats that figure as guaranteed cash, have a potentially valuable example examined by a reputable professional grading or coin dealer service. But imagine finding a coin like this sitting quietly inside an old collection, forgotten for years. That is what makes coin hunting so addictive. A tiny piece of metal can carry a historical story, a distinctive design, and potentially significant collector interest, and you might never know what you have until you actually stop and inspect it. Here is my biggest tip for collectors. Never judge a coin only by its face value. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Check both sides. Examine the lettering. Study the surfaces. Look for unusual characteristics, but don't automatically assume every spot or color change is a valuable error. And most importantly, never clean a potentially collectible coin just to make it look newer. Preserve the original surfaces and get expert opinions when the coin appears genuinely unusual. If you have this 2004 with P Keelboat nickel, place it somewhere safe and keep it protected from unnecessary handling. A proper holder can help protect the surfaces while allowing you to examine the coin without repeatedly touching it. And if you believe you have something exceptional, professional authentication and grading can provide a much stronger foundation for determining its actual collector value. So, is this simply another 5-cent coin? Or could it be a fascinating piece of American history hiding in your collection? That is exactly why you should never ignore unusual older-looking nickels. And remember, Hidden Coin Millions is freshly updated every day, bringing you more rare coin discoveries, more hidden treasures, and more coins that deserve a second look. But don't go anywhere yet. Coin number 2. We are looking at the 1979 with D. Jefferson 5-cent coin, dated 1979, carrying the D Mint mark for the Denver Mint. And if you have one sitting inside an old collection, inherited coin box, forgotten jar, or envelope, this is exactly the moment when you should stop and look again. At first glance, this 1979 with D nickel may seem like nothing more than another 5-cent coin from the late 1970s. But that is precisely what makes old coins so exciting. They can sit unnoticed for decades while collectors search for particular dates, mint marks, surfaces, strikes, and high-grade examples. And this coin has one feature that immediately gives collectors something important to investigate. that small d beneath Jefferson's date. The 1979 with D. Jefferson nickel was produced at the Denver Mint, and the issue had a very large production run. Historical records show that Denver struck 325, 867,672 Jefferson nickels in 1979. So this is not a coin that becomes rare simply because it is old. The real collector excitement comes from the condition, strike quality, recognizable varieties, and especially exceptional examples. And that distinction is incredibly important. The coin we are featuring today has the characteristics you described: gray dots, an old circulated appearance, and the overall look of a rare collector coin. Those surface characteristics deserve careful examination. Gray coloration can result from toning, environmental exposure, storage conditions, or other surface changes, so collectors should never automatically assume that every unusual color or spot represents a valuable mint error. Now turn the coin over. There is Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's famous Virginia estate, appearing prominently on the reverse. Above it is the familiar inscription, E pluribus unum, while the denomination 5 cents and United States of America identify exactly what this small piece of metal represents. The architectural details of Monticello are particularly important to collectors because the sharpness of those details can tell you a great deal about the quality of the strike. And here is where this 1979 with D nickel becomes much more fascinating. For Jefferson nickel collectors, the steps of Monticello can be extremely important. Coins with exceptionally strong, fully defined steps, commonly identified by the full steps designation, can command substantially more attention than ordinary examples. Professional grading records show that the 1979 with D issue becomes particularly scarce in very high grades with full steps. Notes that fewer than 100 known examples had reached MS-666 full steps, with no MS-67 or higher examples listed in its Coinfax information. That means the date alone isn't the entire story. The real treasure hunt is underneath the obvious details. Look at the steps. Look at Jefferson's portrait. Look around the lettering. Examine the rims. Study the surfaces. Check for unusual die characteristics. And most importantly, compare what you see with authenticated examples rather than relying only on photographs from random internet listings. The composition also tells us something interesting. A standard Jefferson nickel of this period is made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs approximately 5 grams, and measures about 21.2 millimeters across. That familiar composition gives the coin its distinctive weight and appearance. But collectors generally aren't chasing a 1979 with D nickel because of its metal content. They are chasing condition, strike quality, varieties, and exceptional preservation. And now let's talk about the condition you described. This particular example has an old circulated appearance with gray dots. Circulation marks and surface changes can affect collector appeal, but they don't automatically erase the historical significance of the coin. If the design remains strong and the surfaces have an attractive natural appearance, the coin can still be an interesting addition to a collection. But here is the warning every serious collector should remember. Do not clean it. If you discover an old Jefferson nickel with unusual gray coloration, dark areas, or spots, don't grab a polishing cloth and try to make it shine. Original surfaces can be important to collectors. An aggressive cleaning can leave scratches or unnatural surfaces that permanently reduce the coin's desirability. Preserve it first. Investigate it second. Now we reach the most dramatic moment of coin number 2. For the 1979 with D Monticello 5-cent coin, with the gray dot, old circulated appearance you described, The valuation figure supplied for this video is $13,000. But I want you to understand something clearly. $13,000 should not be presented as a guaranteed current market sale price for an ordinary circulated 1,979 with D nickel. Current published market and auction information shows ordinary circulated examples are generally worth only a small amount, while exceptional high-grade full steps examples can reach much higher collector prices. Recent records include a 1,979 with D full steps example selling for more than $4,000, while identifies the finest high-grade full steps population as particularly scarce. So if you are using the $13,000 figure in your video, present it as the valuation figure associated with the specific coin example being discussed, not as a guaranteed price for every 1,979 with D nickel. And that is exactly why this hobby can become such an incredible treasure hunt. A 5-cent coin can look ordinary to one person and completely different to an experienced collector. The difference can come down to tiny details that most people never notice. A mint mark, a sharp strike, the preservation of Monticello's steps, original surfaces, a recognized variety, professional authentication. Every little detail can change the story. So here is your collector tip for coin number 2. When you find a 1,979 with D Jefferson nickel, don't immediately judge it by the fact that hundreds of millions were produced. Instead, carefully inspect the D mint mark, date, reverse steps, surfaces, rims, lettering, and overall strike quality. If the coin appears unusually sharp or has strong, full steps details, that's when you should become much more interested. Specifically identifies high-grade 1,979 with D full steps examples as scarce. And if your coin has unusual gray spots or coloration, preserve it exactly as you found it. Put it in a proper holder, avoid touching the surfaces unnecessarily, and consider professional authentication if you believe the coin has exceptional characteristics. Because the greatest mistake a collector can make isn't missing a $1 million coin. Sometimes it's failing to look closely enough at the coin already sitting in front of them. So don't underestimate the 1,979 with D Jefferson 5-cent coin. It may have entered the world as a simple 5-cent piece, but decades later, its condition, strike, and collector characteristics can make the story far more interesting. And remember, this is Hidden Coin Millions, and our channel is freshly updated every single day with more rare coins, hidden treasures, collector discoveries, and coins that deserve a second look. Coin number 3. We are looking at the 2000 with D Jefferson 5-cent coin, dated 2000 with the D mint mark from the Denver Mint. The example we are featuring has the brown spot, black dots on the reverse, black spotting, and circulated condition you described. At first, you might look at a 2000 nickel and think, that isn't old enough to be special. But that is exactly the kind of assumption that can make collectors overlook important details. Coin collecting isn't simply about finding coins that are extremely old. It's about understanding the combination of date, mint, design, strike, condition, varieties, errors, and preservation. And this particular nickel gives us plenty to investigate. The 2000 with D Jefferson nickel was produced at the Denver Mint, and the official mintage was an enormous 520,000 pieces. That means the ordinary circulated 2000 with D nickel is not rare merely because of its date. Describes the regular issue as common in circulated grades, with exceptional scarcity developing at much higher mint state grades. But now, look at the coin in front of you. The first thing that catches the eye is the brown spotting, followed by the black dots and dark spots on the reverse. Those visual characteristics give the coin a very distinctive appearance. However, collectors need to separate natural toning and environmental discoloration from genuine mint errors or varieties. A spot by itself does not automatically make a coin rare. The important question is what caused it, and whether the coin has another authenticated characteristic that makes it collectible. And this is where you should slow down. Turn the coin over and examine Monticello. The Jefferson nickel's reverse carries Felix Schlag's famous depiction of Thomas Jefferson's Monticello estate. Look carefully at the building, the lettering, the denomination, and especially the steps beneath Monticello. Those steps can become one of the most important areas to inspect when evaluating Jefferson nickels. Why? Because collectors may seek coins with exceptionally complete and sharply defined steps, often referred to as full steps. For the 2000 with D issue, separately catalogs the regular strike and the full steps variety, and its population data show that high-grade full steps examples are far more specialized within the series. That means your inspection should not stop at the date. Look at the D mint mark. Study the portrait. Examine the reverse lettering. Move your attention down toward Monticello. Are the steps clearly separated? Are they sharply struck? Are there contact marks crossing them? Is the surface original? Does the coin have unusual characteristics that deserve professional examination? These are the questions that can turn a casual 5-cent find into a serious collector investigation. The physical specifications are also worth understanding. The 2000 with D Jefferson nickel measures approximately 21.20 millimeters, weighs 5.00 grams, has a plain edge, and is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Records the Denver mintage at 1,509, 520,000 pieces. So the metal itself is not the treasure. The potential collector interest comes from the coin's condition, strike quality, surfaces, varieties, and authentication. And this is where the circulated condition you described becomes especially important. A circulated coin has normally experienced contact with other coins and everyday handling. That can produce marks, abrasions, and surface changes. The brown and black areas you described, therefore, need to be examined carefully, rather than automatically treated as evidence of a mint error. If the black spots are simply environmental damage, they do not transform an ordinary 2000 with D nickel into a rare fortune. But if an example appears to have an unusual mint-made characteristic, a recognized variety, or an exceptionally strong strike, that is when professional evaluation becomes much more interesting. There is another important reason collectors should be careful with this coin. Never clean those dark spots away. Don't polish the surface. Don't scrape the black areas. Don't use household chemicals. Don't try to make the nickel look brand new. If the coin has collectible surfaces, aggressive cleaning can permanently alter them and make professional evaluation much more difficult. Preserve the coin exactly as you found it. Then inspect it under good lighting. And if you believe you've found something unusual, compare it with authenticated examples or submit it to a respected grading service. Now comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. For the 2000 with D Monticello 5-cent coin with the brown spot, black dots, and black spotting on the reverse, in the circulated condition you described, the valuation figure supplied for this video is $7,400. But I want to be completely accurate with you. $7,400 should not be presented as a guaranteed current sale price for an ordinary circulated 2000 with D Jefferson nickel. Current information shows that the standard 2000 with D issue is common in circulated grades, while the major collector premiums are associated with exceptional high-grade pieces and full steps examples. Lists an auction record of $4,050 for a 2000 with D regular strike example, but that record involved a specific certified example and should not be applied to every coin of the same date and mint. So if your video uses $7,400 as the valuation figure for this specific described example, make clear that it is the supplied valuation for the featured coin, rather than claiming that every circulated 2000 with D nickel currently sells for that amount. And honestly, that's what makes this hobby so exciting. Imagine having a coin that has been sitting quietly for years while everyone around you assumes it's just another nickel. You turn it over. You notice the dark reverse. You see the D mint mark. You inspect Monticello. You start studying the steps. Suddenly, that tiny 5-cent piece becomes a mystery worth investigating. That is the mindset of a serious collector. Don't just ask, is this coin old? Ask, what exactly is this coin? Ask, where was it made? Ask, how well was it struck? Ask, what condition is it in? Ask, does it have a recognized variety? And ask, has anything unusual to notice about this coin been professionally authenticated? Those questions are far more powerful than simply looking at the date. My collector tip for this coin is simple. Check the reverse first. Examine Monticello closely, especially the steps. Then inspect the surfaces under magnification. Pay attention to whether the brown and black areas appear to be natural toning, environmental damage, or something that genuinely deserves further investigation. And if you suspect an error or unusual variety, don't damage the coin trying to prove it yourself. Keep it protected. Keep the original surface intact. And get a professional opinion before making any major valuation claim. Because a coin's story can change dramatically when a qualified expert confirms what you're actually holding. So don't dismiss the 2000 with D Jefferson 5-cent coin simply because it isn't from the early 20th century. Modern coins can still contain fascinating varieties, condition rarities, and exceptional examples that collectors actively study. And remember, you're watching Hidden Coin Millions, and our channel is freshly updated every single day with more rare coins, hidden treasures, unusual discoveries, and collector stories from across the United States. Coin number 3 has now revealed its secrets. But we still have one final Monticello 5-cent coin waiting. And after seeing what we've uncovered so far, you already know the rule. Never judge a coin by its face value alone. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Check both sides. Check the details. And never spend a potentially collectible coin before you know exactly what you're holding. Because sometimes, the biggest treasure isn't the coin everyone notices. It's the coin everyone else overlooks. Coin number 4. We are talking about the 1993 with P. Jefferson 5-cent coin, dated 1993, carrying the P mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint. The example we are featuring has the gray spots, brown dots on the reverse, and fine condition you described. And before you dismiss this coin, simply because the date doesn't sound ancient, remember one thing. Collectors don't judge a coin only by how many years ago it was made. They examine the exact issue, mint, condition, surfaces, strike, varieties, and overall collector appeal. The 1993 Jefferson nickel was struck at Philadelphia, and the recorded mintage was 412 to 76,000 pieces. It weighs 5.00 grams, measures approximately 21.20 millimeters, has a plain edge, and uses the standard Jefferson nickel composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. So what makes this particular coin interesting? Start with that tiny P. The mint mark identifies Philadelphia, and for a collector, that little letter is part of the coin's identity. The modern Jefferson nickel series contains enormous numbers of coins, but individual examples can still become interesting when they show unusual characteristics or exceptional preservation. That's why you should never look at a 1993p nickel for just 2 seconds and throw it back into circulation. Turn it over. Now look carefully at Monticello. The famous Jefferson residence dominates the reverse, surrounded by the inscriptions identifying the United States and the 5-cent denomination. And there is one area I especially want you to examine: the steps of Monticello. Those steps matter. Experienced Jefferson nickel collectors have long paid attention to how completely and sharply those steps are struck. NGC explains that the Monticello steps are one of the deepest areas of the reverse design, making them difficult to strike completely. Coins with strong, complete steps can therefore become much more desirable to specialists. So when you have a 1993 with P nickel in your hand, don't just look at Jefferson's face and the date. Turn it over and study the building. Look at every step. Look at the lettering. Look at the rim. Look for contact marks. Examine the fields. Then study the entire surface under good lighting. And now, look at the grey spots on the example we're discussing. The grey appearance gives the coin an aged, distinctive look, while the brown dots on the reverse add another visual characteristic. But here's where a serious collector separates excitement from guesswork. Brown and grey coloration can come from natural toning, storage conditions, environmental exposure, or surface contamination. Those colors alone do not prove that a coin is a mint error. That's why the smartest move is preservation. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't rub the brown dots away. Don't scrape the grey areas. If there is something unusual about the original surface, aggressive cleaning could permanently change the coin and make it less desirable to collectors. Keep the coin in its original state and have it examined properly if you believe there is something genuinely unusual. Now let's talk about the condition. The example we're featuring is described as being in fine condition. That means the coin has experienced circulation and normal handling. So you should expect some wear across the highest points of Jefferson's portrait and the reverse design. But even on a circulated nickel, the date, mint mark, lettering, and major design elements should still be examined carefully. And this is where the treasure hunt becomes exciting. The question isn't simply, is this a 1993 nickel? The question is, exactly which 1993 nickel do I have? Could the surfaces be natural? Is the strike unusually strong? Are the Monticello steps well defined? Is there a recognized variety? Is there a genuine mint-made error? Is the coin simply environmentally toned? These questions can make the difference between an ordinary coin and a coin that deserves professional attention. And remember, the published market information gives us an important reality check. The ordinary 1993 with P Jefferson nickel is not automatically rare, simply because it is from 1993 NGC's auction data records. Numerous 1993 with P examples, while its broader Jefferson nickel guidance emphasizes that collector premiums can depend heavily on grade and specific characteristics. That makes your inspection even more important, because a true treasure isn't created by simply putting a huge number beside a date. A valuable coin needs evidence. It needs identification. It needs condition assessment. And when the claimed value is unusually high, professional authentication becomes especially important. Now comes the moment we've been building toward. For the 1993 with P Monticello 5-cent coin with the grey spots, brown dots on the reverse, and fine condition you described, the valuation figure supplied for this video is $8,000. But I want to be transparent with our viewers. $8,000 should be presented as the supplied valuation figure for the specific example described, not as a guaranteed current selling price for every circulated 1,993 with P. Jefferson nickel. Current reference information shows that the regular 1,993 with P issue had a mintage of more than 412 million, so an ordinary circulated example should not automatically be represented as an $8,000 rarity. If your particular coin has a verified rare variety, genuine mint error, exceptional characteristic, or other factor supporting an $8,000 valuation, that's when professional authentication and grading become extremely important. And that is the lesson I want you to remember from this entire video. Never let the size of a coin fool you. A Jefferson nickel is tiny. 5 cents is tiny. But the history inside these coins is enormous. And the possibility of discovering an unusual example is exactly what keeps collectors searching through old collections, inherited jars, coin boxes, estate finds, and forgotten rolls. Imagine pulling a 1,993 with P nickel from an old collection, turning it over, and noticing something you had never seen before. You examine the gray spots. You notice the brown dots. You study Monticello. Then you realize the coin deserves a closer look. That's the moment a simple 5-cent piece becomes a mystery. And mysteries are what make coin collecting so addictive. So here's my final collector tip for coin number 4. Always examine both sides of the coin under strong, natural-looking light. Confirm the date. Confirm the P mint mark. Examine Monticello's steps. Look for unusual die characteristics. Study the brown and gray areas without disturbing them. If something looks genuinely unusual, protect the coin and seek an expert opinion. And never clean a potentially collectible nickel. The original surface is part of the story. The marks are part of the story. The toning can be part of the story. And sometimes the smallest detail is the detail that makes a collector stop and look twice. So there you have it. The final coin in today's top 4 ultra-rare and most valuable Monticello 5-cent coins hunt. But remember, Hidden Coin Millions is freshly updated every single day, bringing you more rare US coins, more hidden treasures, more collector discoveries, and more reasons to check the coins already sitting around you. And if you've been watching this entire video while an old Jefferson nickel is sitting somewhere in your home, don't wait until later. Go find it. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Turn it over. Study Monticello. Look closely at the details. Because you never know when an ordinary-looking 5-cent coin might turn into the most interesting discovery in your collection. And that's exactly why the hunt never ends.